Completely agree. Spurs look absolutely woeful at the minute. This is blowing my mind. I'll hold it right there. Welcome back to TFW, our Monday afternoon show dominated by your opinions on the weekend's football. A weekend of action which saw Liverpool back to winning ways, which saw Ederson completely fluff his lines and Karim Benzema break a goal-scoring record for Real Madrid. But first off, let's talk about that Manchester United City derby. So first off, as we mentioned, it's all about your opinions because French Fry Vivo, great name, has said Bruno Fernandes is sensational. Already adapted to the league and has made United look like a far better side following their victory versus City. I would tend to agree, United do look much better, but I'm not overly sure that it's just Fernandes. I'd actually put Fred in that mould as well. This season, I think Fred has been absolutely brilliant. Maguire's certainly come on leaps and bounds and looks a lot better than when he came in for such a big fee. Wan-Bissaka doing massive bits. I think Daniel James has definitely played more of a role this season than he probably would have expected after he signed, but it's certainly been brilliant. So Fernandes has been class, for sure. Not doubting that, especially considering everything that he's brought to the team, goals and assists mainly. But I think United as a whole have just been so much better recently. SAF Man United, though, disagrees. Says Bruno Fernandes isn't given the credit he deserves because he plays for a struggling United side. This is blowing my mind, SAF MUTD. Nobody is discrediting Fernandes. In fact, all I'm ever seeing online is people completely overwhelming him with support and saying how well he's done. And United are hardly struggling. Like, they were out of the top 4 race a few weeks ago. They're back in it. They've got 7 wins and 3 draws in their last 10 games. They're unbeaten. Not quite sure where you've got that opinion from, but fair enough, each to their own. Log Primeton has said Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire are the best defenders in the Premier League. Jesus. You know what? Maybe on current form. Certainly not Bailly because he doesn't really play as much. Lindelof and Maguire. I think it's 8 clean sheets in the last 10 for United. It's hard to disagree with those numbers on current form. As for being the best defenders in the Premier League, no. Just, I think, if you're just taking them on paper on their career and just how good they are in general, taking form out the window, Van Dijk's better, Laporte's better. I think Maguire could be 3rd or 4th up there, potentially. There's a few more who have probably got a claim for that, but I certainly wouldn't put them at the top, up with the best. And by the way, I think Laporte and Van Dijk are way clear of the others as well. And talking Manchester City, though, we will move on to them because Rudol's got an unpopular opinion for us. Apparently, according to Rudol, Sterling is the most overrated player in the Premier League. Last time he scored was in December, if I'm correct. I think so, in the Premier League. He's, for some reason, worth more than players like Salah, Mane, Kane and Aubameyang. I'll hold it right there just because the way that transfers are figured out, it doesn't really take form into account too much. And also there's many more factors that go into it. Sterling, for example, however long is left on his contract could play a part in his transfer fee if you're going across official fees. Plus his age, he's younger than Salah, Mane, Kane and Aubameyang, which means technically if a club was to buy him, there's more time for him to be sold on and recoup some money, and there's also more time for him to become good and become a better player. So that's why on the transfer market, he's probably worth more, especially like Aubameyang. He's like 5 years older than Sterling. He misses easy chances and constantly dives. Who doesn't dive these days? I'm not going to hold that against Sterling, but for some reason people think he'd join Real and become the next big thing. If he does join Real, that's not his fault that Real Madrid think he's good enough to bring him in. Personally, I don't think Sterling is overrated. I think he is phenomenal. I think his consistency is so good. Recently, probably gone off the boil a little bit, but Manchester City haven't been that spectacular in themselves. Sterling is a phenomenal player. We've seen it in the last few years. We've seen the massive difference from when he was at Liverpool, came to City, had 1 season before Guardiola joined, and then suddenly became arguably England's most important player. So yeah, overrated, especially the most overrated in the Premier League. That is a big call. There are some games where he's overrated, I'll give you that, but not the most in the Premier League. Sticking with City though, Matt7407 has said Gabriel Jesus has the potential to be one of the top 4 strikers in the league if he wasn't stuck behind Aguero so much. Completely agree, but this is also Gabriel Jesus' fault. Like, you know it's going to happen. You've come in, as a youngster, you're learning from Aguero, you're getting games here and there. Fine, that's acceptable for 1 or 2 seasons, but I think it's like 3.5 now, or maybe 3-4 seasons that Jesus has been there. And if you do it thinking, Aguero is getting into his early 30s, he'll leave, fine. But he wasn't. He was like 27 or 28 when Jesus joined the club. And the way Aguero is going, he's not going to be leaving City anytime soon. unless he leaves for the Champions League purposes, with City being out for 2 years. I think Jesus should leave because I think he can become a top 4 striker. I think he's got brilliant potential. If he knows he's not getting the games, then why is he staying at Manchester City? Doesn't quite make so much sense to me. Right, moving on. La Liga. Vegito Messi 10's got in touch again. La Liga is 100% the most exciting league because the title race is always changing between Barcelona and Madrid week by week. Like this weekend, Real dropped points. Surely by the same case that you're making, you'd say it's also not the most exciting league because it's just Real Madrid and Barca changing week by week. In fact, it's just Real Madrid and Barca changing year by year. The last time that one of them didn't win was Atleti in 2014. The last time one of those two wasn't in the top 3 was like 2006, I think. I'm not going to go with the most exciting league. And I also think that, especially La Liga this season, it's not the most exciting title race because they're outdoing each other. It's not like Liverpool City last season where they were so good it was nail-biting. This is just whoever's worse, whoever's going to slip up. Like Real Madrid lost to Betis and it wasn't a great performance for the league leaders after beating Barcelona, and then Barcelona just edged past Sociedad with a penalty. I mean, they're hardly setting their title race alight, and as for an exciting league, I'm going to have to go Bundesliga. The Bundesliga title race is mad. Moving on. Gabriel Hernandez has said Thomas Muller has been the best CAM this season. I tend to agree. Thomas Muller is a very, very odd player. In Germany, known as a Raumdeuter, which like a space finder kind of translates to, a room finder. And yeah, he's one of those that you wouldn't necessarily have him down as a real game changer, someone with flair, someone who's really exciting. He's a very unique player in himself, and being dropped by Germany at the start of the season kind of shadowed his career, certainly at Bayern, even though he wasn't doing that bad. Obviously, it wasn't quite working out under Niko Kovac as well, but since he's gone, Hansi Flick has come in, put Muller in the squad, and across all competitions, he's got 19 assists and 10 goals. That is mad numbers in like 35 games, 36 games. Yeah, I'd massively agree that he has been the best central attacking midfielder this season. Of course, there's so many different ways you could look at it. Who's an attacking midfielder? Who's a number 9 that drops deep? Who's a number 10? All this and that. But I'm sticking my neck out. I'm going with you, Gabriel. I think Muller's been the best this season. Next up, Himanshu Shekhar said Jose Mourinho's decision to call out Ndombele in front of the press was wrong. The guy's only 23 and he's played only in French League. It's a bit harsh for the French League. I think we should give him time as he seems to have the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the world. Right, I agree and disagree with you there, Himanshu. So he does have the potential to be, okay, maybe one of the best in the world, it's a bit of a stretch, to be a top player, certainly. Ndombele, when he gets the ball, you can see what he does with it. You can see the creativity and what he brings in change of direction. Really, really good player on the ball. But I also agree with Jose Mourinho calling him out. He's not been good enough. And the case in point is the levels of fitness and the work rate. This is something that a footballer, in my opinion, has to give. Should give every minute of every game. There are basics to football, which is effort, work rate, and being fit enough to take to the field. If you are not, it doesn't matter what talent or ability that you've got. And Ndombele, yes, he's been playing in the French League, but he's playing in the Champions League as well. He wasn't stuck away in some poor league, right? He was playing against Barca and Man City last year. And he's been in the Premier League for 8 months, which is more than enough time, considering you're a professional footballer with all the amenities you could ever want to be in the best shape of your life, to get into shape, to get fitter, to prove that he's fit enough to play in midfield for Spurs in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong, I understand that a Premier League is very physically demanding. You could say there's more fouls. You could say there's bigger midfielders. You could say it's stronger, it's quicker, it's this, it's that. It doesn't matter. If you work to the best of your abilities, you're surely going to be putting in more effort than he is. He's not fit enough at the moment and he's not working hard enough. That does not come from, getting pushed around by bigger midfielders or tough midfielders every week. It comes from putting in the work and training before you even get to the field. And Kenny Jong, last but not least, he said, winless Spurs. Spurs can't seem to cross the finish line. No Europa at all for Spurs, not to mention Champions League. Completely agree. Spurs look absolutely woeful at the minute. With Kane and Son out, and looks like Steven Bergwijn's injured as well. Things aren't going so well. Dele Alli's not performing. The only bright spot of the season has been Jovan Lo Celso and Japhet Tanganga. Apart from that, there are so many more teams who are more consistent, who seem to be winning games. I think United are the biggest threat to Chelsea in terms of that 4th place spot. I think Leicester will get 3rd. Then you've got Wolves and Sheffield United. Arsenal make a fantastic comeback under Mikel Arteta. At this point, I'd put Spurs down for 8th or 9th or even 10th in the Premier League. So yeah, completely agree with you, Kenny. And believe me, that hurts me to say. Anyway, thank you so much, as always, for every Sunday night, your thoughts and opinions in the YouTube community tab. Remember, we need all of your opinions on the weekend's football. We don't want to look forward 6 months. We don't need quick fires for the Q&A. Save that stuff for later in the week. But yeah, whilst you're at it, let me know your thoughts in the video. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe too, because we're getting ever closer to 500k, 400k. I jumped the gun, sorry. And yeah, check out the rest of the stuff we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.